I'm going to call this section 4.4. And this lesson is going to be about finding the slope, the x-intercept, and the y-intercept of a line when the line is written, the equation is written in slope-intercept form. So I want to point out that 2 of the 3 of the parts of this question should be very easy. So we've been working with slope-intercept form. As a reminder, that's our y equals mx plus b, where b is our y-intercept, and that's the point where we begin if we are making our graph, and the m is our slope. So if it's already in that format with y by itself equal to some number of x's plus some number, then I know this number in front of x is my slope, and this number out here, the constant at the end, is my b. So 2 of these is very easy because slope would just be 2, and the y-intercept would be 6. This is the b. Now, to find the x-intercept, and we can use this strategy also to find the y-intercept. The x-intercept, and we talked about this when we looked at a graph, that if it's on the x-axis, the y has to be equal to 0. So algebraically, that's how I can find it. And if it is the y-intercept, the x has to be equal to 0. So if you think about on a graph, any place that's on the x-axis, the y is 0. Any place that's on the y-axis, the x is equal to 0. And so we can just plug a 0 in and get the answer. That would even work for this y-intercept that we already know. If I said y is equal to 2 times 0 plus 6, well, that's certainly just 0 plus 6, which is y is equal to 6. And we could very easily think 2 times 0 is just 0, so we know it's 6, which does agree with this answer. To find the x-intercept, we need to use this strategy. So if I want the x-intercept for this equation, I allow the y to be 0, so replace the y with 0, and then we solve for x. Now, I cannot just divide because I've got to get the 6 on the other side, whether I want to move my 6 or move my 2x, but before you divide, make sure the equal is in between those two. Divide by 2, and then it tells me negative 3 is equal to x. So the x-intercept is negative 3. I don't really need to go through all of this to find the y. It still works, but I don't need to go through all of that. If it's in slope-intercept form, the y-intercept, that's gravy. That's easy. Easy pickings. The slope, also easy. Notice it's just the number in front of the x. It does not include the x itself. And the x-intercept, you plug a 0 in for y, and then it's just a short 2-step equation. So let's try another one. I'll let you go ahead and try number 2, and we'll look at number 3 together. Because we've got a fraction in this one, and that sometimes wigs people out. So first off, I'm going to get the easy part done. So I know that that's the m, the slope, and that this is the b, the y-intercept. So the slope, we already know, is 1/2. The y-intercept, we know, is negative 10. The x-intercept, put a 0 in for the y, 1/2 x minus 10. So I'm going to move that get rid of that negative 10 by adding 10. 10 is equal to 1/2 times x. To get rid of the 1/2, I'll multiply by 2. Right? That way that would cancel. Just give me 1x, or simply x, and 2 times 10 is 20. That might seem a little big, but in this case, it's correct. Alright, so that's how you find the slope, the x-intercept, and the y-intercept from an equation that's in slope-intercept form.